everybody, it's Martha. This is what I look like. So I have finished the purple tote bag. And this is what it came out like. Let me open it up all the way. And you will see this in this video. You will see me assembling this. And I just want you to keep in mind that I am not a great seamstress. And I know I seem self-deprecating, but the truth is the truth. So, and this is the aqua slash, pretty turquoise and all those fun colors that I made first. So I want to tell you a few things that I learned. Well, a couple things I learned. On this bag, you'll remember me saying in a previous video that on the 7-inch muslin and the 6-inch quilt batting that is behind or in front of the muslin when I'm sewing other fabrics on it, you know what I mean. I only made my outside fabrics go up to the edge of where the 6-inch batting was. And on this one, I put the fabrics, the outside decorative fabrics, all the way to the edge of the 7-inch muslin. I won't do that again. I will do it as I did on this one from now on. Even though I have a couple of gaps, like right here where the muslin shows, I know now to check that and correct it as I'm sewing the pieces together. And if I have to sew the pieces a little closer together than the 6-inch batting on the back, I'm okay with that. I wasted too much fabric this way, and I had to keep cutting the layers back, so I would not do it this way again. And you can see how this is assembled in the previous, how I did each square in the previous videos. And in the first video I made on this, I tell you what I did and how I did it and why. So I would do it this way, the way I did it first, from now on. And there will be more of these, trust me, because I loved making them. There's one part in the video, oh, let me show it to you when it's all tied up. I also made 8 tabs in this video during the assembly, and I used fabric for the ties. This one I used 4 tabs at the top, and you can see that it does not close the same. It's not as gathered at the top when you use it, which is great. That's fine, but I really like how this one closes up tight. So for a project bag, I'd be less likely to lose small things out of here. And I just really like the 8 tabs way better. And you can see the 8 tabs on here. There's 2 on each side. So there is that. And that is the lining. I don't think I showed that to you. So those are the differences between the 2 bags. And I would definitely do this again with the changes that I made. 8 tabs instead of 4. I like the matching cloth ties way better than something that doesn't match, although I could dye this at some point, and I probably will. I will probably use some RIT dyes and dye these cords. Also, in the video, I show sewing the lining together for this purple Japanese rice bag. And as I'm sewing the lining together, I make a large mistake. I do not leave a gap to turn the whole thing out. So what happens is you're actually putting right side to right side of fabric, which you will see in the video, after you've sewn all the components together, the outside and the lining. And you have to leave a gap, otherwise you can't turn your work. So in part of the video, before I start sewing the lining, I tell you, leave a gap when you're sewing. So I'm just reiterating that here in the intro. So I did a lot of editing in this video. There's some choppy parts in there. you didn't miss anything important, trust me. And I thought the video was going to be a lot longer than it is, so that's a good thing. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sewing along with me no matter what you're doing. If you're stitching, if you're doing paper projects, whatever you're doing, I appreciate you being here. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you being here. And I know I say it in every video, but I really mean it. And it means a lot to me that you're following me. Hello to any new subscribers. I have a few new ones that have signed up, and that thrills me to death. There's been a couple people that have told me that I've inspired them to do some of the projects that I've been doing recently. And you have no idea how that makes my heart feel. Like, if I can inspire anyone to do something creative, I'm all about that. So thank you for sharing that with me. And if you haven't subscribed, could you please subscribe? And if you like this video or any of my videos, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like them, you can give me a thumbs down. It still counts that it was viewed. And even if you put me on mute and just let the video play all the way through, that helps me a lot. I really appreciate it. I don't like begging for, good things to happen, but hey, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to give me a thumbs up. You don't have to ring the bell and get, notifications that I've got a new video up. It'll come to you. So I want to thank you again. I want to tell you all how much I really love you, and I'm grateful for you being here. Be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and have yourself a beautiful life. Thanks. Bye, everybody. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming back. Today is assembly day. Hopefully. I've been working on this for several hours today. Things have not gone real well. So, first, what do I have? I have my 4 sides and the bottom, all 7-inch squares with 6-inch batting on the back. I have a tube of fabric that I sewed down the edge. I just sewed it right sides together, sewed it down the edge. Then when I ironed it with the seam in the center after turning it right side out. This we are going to fold and get our tabs for the top of the bag out of it. However, if I did it this way, which gives me 8 tabs, which is what I want, these are going to be way too tall. So I'm probably going to make it a little shorter. These, I just took some fabric, I folded it in half, made a crease down the middle, folded this side in, folded this side in, folded it in half, and I sewed it. But I did it with right sides out. So folded it down the middle, folded that side in, folded that side in, folded it like that, and stitched this edge. That way there's no turning, because you don't want to be turning skinny stuff like that. So I have 2 of those because those are probably going to be the ties for this bag. That's my plan. I also have 5 7-inch squares because my bag, my outside squares are 7-inch, and I've marked them a 1/2 inch in, and I am looking for this crosshairs right here, which is what we are going to, sorry, that's the edge that's the corner we're going to be sewing to. The setup is not great. I apologize. The lighting is what it is. I'm doing my best. I hope you'll bear with me. I really hope you'll bear with me. So, have my older machine here, have it all threaded. I have as good a lighting as I can get. So what we are looking for, this is non-directional fabric. I did that because it's way easier. And it's a fairly light fabric because you want to be able to see inside the bag. So we're going to make like this is the bottom. And we are going to sew these edges together, these edges together, these edges together, and these edges together right here. So it's going to look like a cross or a plus sign. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I will sew these, and I'm only going to sew, I'm going to match these up, and I'm only going to sew to this point here. Do not go beyond that point. Okay, I'll be back when I'm done sewing. This is future Martha. I have jumped on here to show you a mistake I make in the next section. I did not leave any place to turn this once we sew these, the inside to the outside. When you sew these up, which you will see in the following video, leave a gap. Either leave a gap of at least 4 fingers on a side or a bottom edge. Do not sew it all together like I just did, or you'll never be able to turn your bag right side out. So leave a gap. So I am going to tear one of these sides out at least 4 finger widths of my hand, and I will double stitch here and here to reinforce it, and that will be where we turn the bag. Turning the bag is hard if you're using quilt batting because it's very thick. So leave a wide enough gap. I'm probably going to leave more than 4 fingers because I really struggled with the last one. Don't do this when you sew the next portion that I show. Okay, so I've sewn them all together. I thought I hit the time-lapse button. I forgot to. So I set it for time-lapse, but I didn't hit the record button. As I said, it's been one of those days. So what I'm going to do now is, as you can see, and let's see if I'm on the camera here. Okay, these are the 3 corners of these 3 pieces. You do not want to sew to the edge again and again and again. I will tell you that. Do not sew, sorry, trying to get the light. Do not sew to the edge. You want these 3 corners to meet. Now, I will tell you right now, when I sew these up, there will be a little gap. I will fix that. I will fix that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron these open right now, and then we will get them to lay flat, and then we'll do the next part. Okay. So the next part is to sew from this point to straighten it out to this point, okay? And we are just going to do that all the way around, right sides together, to get this side joined, and these sides joined. So we have a box. So that's what I'm going to do next, and I'm going to try and put it on time lapse this time. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I am checking to see if there are any gaps in my corners. So that one is good. That one looks good. That one looks okay. I don't see any gaps in it. Looks like I sewed all the edges together. And that one is good. Now, in case you haven't noticed, I'm not a great seamstress. Been sewing all my life, but for some reason, I'm just not a great seamstress. So we're going to set this aside. And the next step is to sew our sides to our bottom. This is where it can get tricky. You have to make sure your direction is proper. So this is my bottom. This is right side up. And I'm going to see if I can do this and not mess it up in front of you. Okay, this is one side. So I want this side to stand up like this. I'm going to put this face down, and I'm going to sew this edge to this edge, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to sew this edge to this edge. Now I don't need to mark this because I'm using the batting as my guide. If you're not using batting or interfacing, mark your fabric like you did the base, lining, and you'll be fine. So I am not paying any attention to these outside fabrics. I'm paying attention to the muslin base. And those are the fabrics I'm going to match up. And I'm going to make sure that my exterior fabrics are not like folded under or somewhere they shouldn't be. Okay, so I'm going to make sure this is my bottom. So if my bottom's like that, my side is face up. Triple check yourself, because this is where I messed up badly on the last one. And again, I'm only going to sew from this corner of the batting to this corner of the batting. So I am going to reestablish, and probably should bring my pins over here for this, because this is a bit thick and you want to make sure. That's not good. You want to make sure, and again, this is my bottom, this is my side, so I want my side to face up like this. And I know I'm doing a lot of flopping around of the fabric, but this, I have to do it so my brain works. Okay. So I'm going to sew this edge here. And again, I triple checked myself. So I'm going to try and pin that there. There's a lot of layers through here. So I am going to sew just from this edge of the batting down to this corner of the batting down to that corner of the batting, making sure that my muslin pieces, not all this excess fabric hanging over, but my muslin pieces are, and always back stitch at your corners, because this is going to take some strain. Okay. All right. Do not sew around the corner. That is not the direction you're going. I'm my usual disaster. Okay, pins. Take the pins out. All right, this is my bottom. The next side I want to sew, I want it to be face up. So what I do is I face my bottom down and then I pin it here. Again, not lining up this overlapping fabric here. We're going to trim that off later. We are going to overlap, and we have to separate this corner here. Now I went a little beyond, so I'm going to tear that stitch out. Sorry, bear with me. I went way beyond here, so I am going to, well, it might be okay. No, I'm just going to tear a couple stitches out. Now see, my batting is different sizes. They meet up at different places on each of these squares. It's not a perfect science the way I'm doing it. Okay, that's the bottom. That's face up. So I'm doing this and hoping I'm in camera, in scene here. And I'm going to take that, and you're matching the muslin, not all your fabrics that are flopping over the edges, and that. And you want to make sure this corner is not getting caught up in there. So you just want to sew from edge of batting now. We're going to do that for the other two sides. I'm just going to keep the camera on. Okay, so there's two sides. And face down. Now I have to do this side. I want this side to face up this way. So I'm going to match up muslin to muslin. But I'm also making sure that all of these overlapping fabrics are not like sticking back down. They're not folded over. They're not, you know, somewhere they're not supposed to be, and it'll end up looking a mess. So there's a lot to keep track of. I didn't have the overlapping fabrics in the first bag I made because I stopped the fabrics at the edge. And you can do that too. You just have to make sure you're catching them when you sew. Or patch over it, which I still need to do on the other tote bag. Okay, and again, I have to make sure this side is out of the way. So I'm not going to catch this. I'm just going to start right there at that corner. Sort of, kind of. Okay. And it's not as hard as I make it look. As usual, I make everything look way harder than it is. Okay. All right. So again, that's the bottom. When this is turned right side out, that side is correct. That side is correct. And that side is correct. Always triple check. If you're me, you're always triple checking. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this one I want up this way. So I'm going to sew this, the bottom of that, to the bottom. And again, I'm pushing these extra corners out of the way from the other side. And the fingers don't want to work today. Okay. So I'm going to carefully keep that out of the way, but still catch that corner because you want to make sure that you don't have any big gaps in there. And this muslin isn't exactly where it should be, muslin. This batting isn't exactly where it should be, so I'm trying to feel where I should be catching that corner so there's no big gap in there. And I'm moving this corner out of the way here. Okay. Now we'll see if it worked. These scissors are overkill for what I'm doing. Okay, so that's the bottom. This side up, this side up, this side up. I know that looks upside down, but the lavender part is the part that's supposed to be up. And this side up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now sew the sides up. So I think I will put you back on time lapse for that. It's the exact same method as what we used on the lining. So I'll be right back. Okay, so there it is. All turned right side out. Now what I am going to do is I am going to reverse it again. And I am going to trim all this excess fabric out of here. I will do that off camera. I'll be back. Okay. So I have my lining turned right side out, and I have left the gap in the side seam. You can leave it in a bottom seam if you want to. I have my exterior turned wrong side out, so right side is in, and I've made sure all my sides are facing the way I want them to face, and you're going to put the right sides together. And what you're going to do is you're going to match up your seams on your edges. So I make one seam go one way, one seam go another, and then I am going to use clips for this, I think. We shall see. That's not quite sewn far enough, so I am going to sew this up a little ways. That is not quite meeting the way it should, and I'm not sure why. I went way off kilter with that one. Well, let me fix my sewing mistake. Fix that mistake. Back to clipping these. I am going to get the top edges as close as I can, and I'm only doing the corner seams, that where all the seams are. Doing that first. Do not clip or pin in the middle. You're welcome to pin if you want, but don't do it in the center of the bag yet, because we have to do our tabs. So we are just putting this together like that. And you have, double check that you have right sides together, or both inside outs facing out. I had to fix this because I mis-sewed it, and I will tell you over and over, I am not a good seamstress. Over and over and over again. Okay, so I want 8 tabs, and I do not want my tabs to be humongous. So To me, that's too long. I am going to make my tabs about that long. So that is about 4.5 inches. You're going to lose, some of this to the inside edge when you sew them. So there's 4 tabs right there, and they are 4.5 inches long. That may still be longer than I want. I don't know yet. So I'm going to make that one 4.5. So that's 5. And I'm not cutting straight because I'm at an angle. 6, 7, 8. Shoddy cutting. Oh well. Okay, this is where you have to be very careful. This is going to be the inside of my tab, okay? So I want to fold it like this, fold it in half. And if I'm going to put 2 tabs on each side, which these may be really wide to do that with. Yeah, they're going to be super wide. You can make your tabs any size you want. And what we're going to do is raw edges facing up, tuck it inside, place it where you want it, and have it, make sure it's going to catch. I stick mine out a little extra because, yeah, I've been known to miss sew, as you have seen. So you want the right side going down, facing the right sides that are inside the bag. So you have your right side of your lining facing the right side of your bag. I'm going to have this stick out just a little. Try and get them straight. I am trying to do this on camera and do it right, and that usually means I'm going to fail at some point. Because, yeah, that's just me. You can pin, you can clip. If you don't have these little clippy things, pin them. That's fine. You got to do you. You can iron these in half if you want to. I'm tucking mine up pretty close to the corners. You can put one around each edge. I had one around each edge of the blue turquoisey, it's not blue, around the turquoise one that I did. And I wasn't thrilled with I'm not thrilled with the way it closes. It doesn't close quite as tight as I would like it to. Had to get my train of thought back on the track. So again, I'm just leaving a little bit sticking up, trying to make sure they're on there straight and they're lined up. Again, I do not claim to be a good seamstress, so just bear with me. There are lots, well, not lots, there are a few really good videos, and I will link them below again. They are in my original video for the part 1 of this tote bag. So I will try to link that as well. And I'm hoping that this is, I'm not even getting this, hold on. Okay, so what I'm doing is folding this in half. I think I failed to get any of that on camera. And putting these inside, spaced where you want them spaced. If you want them closer to the center, do them closer to the center. And I leave a little bit sticking up here. I'm sorry, the other part is off camera. Okay. Come on. All right. You want to make sure everything is flat. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. and you sew all the way around. And I'm going to sew down about this far. And then I'll trim all this excess off. So I need to raise up my machine before I can do that, and I will put it on time lapse again. Okay, so I have sewn all the way around the top, and I am going to cut off all this excess fabric because it's going to be really bulky. So we are going to do that real quick. I'm going to go in, but see, because you sew all the way around the top, there's nowhere to turn it, because if you left space to turn it, you'd have to finagle those tabs in and hand sew it and all this other stuff, and you don't want them to be weak. So I am just going to pray that I did everything right and that I didn't make an idiot of myself further on camera than I usually do or have already done in this video. And this is why it's very, very important to make sure that you have left an opening in your lining. Because if you didn't, now you cannot turn your bag right side up. If you were only putting one tab in, you could probably do that in some sort of space there. So now, so many threads. Always so many threads. This fabric is just a fray machine. All right, so I'm going to find my gap right here. We're gonna carefully, I'm trying to do this so I'm in shot. Ay, ay, ay. This whole filming thing is not easy. Okay, so you're gonna start turning it all right side out, and it's kind of like you're giving birth. Your bag is giving birth. If we did it right, we're going to turn it right side out. Okay. And it's a struggle, and that's why you have to leave such a large gap, which then you can either hand sew or machine sew shut. Okay. Oy, oy, oy. There's a lot going on. Okay, and what you want is you want these things to flop down like that. So, turn this, get all these corners turned out. That's the outside. And that, my friends, is the correctly turned bag. Yeehaw! Look at that, I did it. Okay, now, what I did on the other one was, because you want it to lay flat up here, I usually iron it so that this is down and not like sticking up like that. You want these to stand up in the end. You could even use interfacing in them if you wanted to, but I'm going to iron this so that this lays flat inside. I'm going to take this opening and I'm just going to stitch it shut real quick on the machine, and I will be right back. Okay, it's all ironed and I am pretty happy with it. I am going to top stitch around here. You could use a decorative stitch. You can do anything you want. So I'm quickly, hopefully quickly, going to top stitch just to kind of get the lining to stay in place. Alrighty. Now, the last thing to do is to put the ties on. So you can line up your tabs. So you have 2 on each side. And you start at one side. Okay. Start at one side through one tab. You're going to go around. Come on. You can do it, Martha. You're going to go around through each tab with one cord or string or ribbon or whatever you choose to use. You can put a safety pin on the end if it makes it easier for you. This shouldn't be this hard, but it is me after all. Like I said, I make everything look way harder than it should be. Come on. Good gracious. My life. Okay, we're almost there. All right, so I'm all the way around. And I have plenty left over. Now you're going to take the other one, and you're going to go from the opposite side. So I started on that corner. I'm going to start on this corner. And we're going to go through till we come out the other side, the tab on the opposite side. Next to the tab we went in. Sorry, I keep pulling it closer to me. I have short arms, so I tend to do that. It's not because I need to see it. Now ribbon will be slipperier. Cord seems to be a good thing to use. It easily opens and closes. I don't know how this is going to do. I have not made one like this before. So there, I'm on the other side. So I will take these and I will tie it. This is the same cord now. This is the same piece that I just put through. You're going to tie the ends. And then tie the ends over here. Open it up. Make sure you're not tying it too tight. And tying these ends. And then that closes much better than the other one. It closes tighter. So if I wanted to use it as like for my wallet and my phone and stuff, I wouldn't worry as much about stuff falling out, because these are supposed to go in like that. And then you just pull it to open it up. So there it is. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to put an intro on this, so I will see you back at the beginning. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I love you all. I hope this was somewhat in shot, and I will see where it goes from here. Anyway, I'll be making more of these. Again, big disclaimer, I'm not a seamstress. I hope you have fun if you make one of these, and you don't have as hard a time as I do with sewing. Take care, everybody. Bye. Love y'all.